Good morning. Welcome to the No Way Jose podcast. This is the morning dump. It's May 4th. Did I get that right? Am I reading that right? Yes, May 4th. It is a Monday, starting the week out right with a nice solid dump. We have plenty to dig through today. I am your host, Jose Galison, and this is the kitty of the day. Jeff, no little kitties anymore. We'll have some new ones coming through the kitty of the rotation here soon. But for those who like seeing my hot takes Monday through Friday around 11 a.m. Eastern, when we're actually there on the right day and right time. But that's what we shoot for. Or if you just like seeing the kitties of the day, then be sure to hit that subscribe button and hit that bell for notifications. That way you can see when I'm going live and when I'm dropping new videos. Look at this fat fart. All right, we'll see you guys in the show.
Beautiful thing right now.
Rise and shine, it's a beautiful day. I am alright.
About a third of the building has been blown away.
This is the bridge to the white light.
Our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts.
And at that point, we were taken for another round of questioning, this time related to our allegedly being members of Mossad.
It's crazy evil.
Good morning, everybody. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Let me know if I'm sounding good, looking good, everything's good on you guys' end. But it's a pleasure to be with you fine people again today. We have plenty to go through. As always, we usually start off with some icebreaker content, although today we are actually giving this a title. We're calling it Trump's Weird Weekend. We're going to take a little bit of a lighter look into it. Today it'll be a little bit more of a chill show, although obviously we will end up going through foreign policy stuff. So we'll have death and destruction, but we're going to take it a little bit easy today on Monday. So we're going to meander a little bit more in the funny / gen pop area before we get into too dark of stuff. And then after we do Trump's Weird Weekend, then we'll get into our foreign policy content, our foreign policy roundup, and then we'll get into the next named segment, Age of Post-Reality Psyop Slop. We'll be kind of focusing in more on the recent Trump assassination attempt stuff, but kind of tying it into an overarching theme of kind of how we've entered this new age of post-reality Psyop Slop. So kind of in how that's presenting itself, and touch a little bit on some other things going on. Maybe a little look at the Butler stuff. 9/11. Just kind of tying a whole bunch of stuff together. I see all you guys showing up in the chat. I do want to remind you guys, today is a solo episode, so we don't have a guest. When we do a solo episode, I do like to hang out with a chat. This is a dump. This is an info dump. This isn't like a well-produced thing. This is a stream where I hang out with you guys and we process information, typically news, sometimes olds. Sometimes we take a look back at some older stuff, but we process it together. We're hanging out. I do try to set it up in segments, though, and I do timestamp it, but I will, at the end of each segment, I pop into the chat, say hello. I try to give everyone at least a good morning. After that, you got to catch my interest or catch my wallet. You can super chat. That would be the wallet option, obviously. And I timestamp it. So if you are someone who's listened to the playback and you don't like to listen to the banter, you just want to get the information, I totally get that. Then just go down to the podcast or video description, and there will be timestamps as long as you're catching the replay. Give me a little bit of time. I usually do it right after the show, but sometimes I got to jet and go do something, so it might take a couple hours before timestamps come in. But either way, usually if you're catching on the playback, they will be there, and so you can just skip right on past the chat. Totally get it. Totally cool. But I do like hanging out with my fellow dumpers. Oh, by the way, we have a baby dumper. I almost forgot. And there's a new dumper in the family, not mine specifically, but in the larger like cult organization that we're essentially creating here. amongst the dumpers. One of our dumpers has had a kid. So Bobo Mikua, for those who hang out in the chat a lot. I forget. I think he don't think he goes by Bobo in the chat, but whatever. One of the guys, one of the regulars, him and his wife just had their third child. So congrats to him. That's always nice to hear. But with that, guys, let's go ahead and get into let's just go ahead and roll right into our icebreaker content, which is, like I said, it's actually a name segment today. We're calling it Trump's Weird Weekend, although that's only one portion of this icebreaker content that we're digging into today. To start off, I wanted to bring it to you guys' attention, this trend, which I assume you guys maybe have already have heard about it. It's kind of taking the internet by storm, I guess one could say, to the point where normies are hearing about it. Like I thought this maybe was just like a terminally online thing, because I would see this pop up in my feeds, and I don't know, you never know. But my kid, it's always when my kid or like my wife or somebody when they're bringing it up too, that's when I'm like, oh, this is entered into general zeitgeist area. Not that it's like it's a political idea or anything, but anyways, I guess enough teasing. But apparently they've been doing these, what they're calling Scientology raids, where they're just they're just trying to see how far they can get into like a Scientology, like essentially a bunch of kids will get together and just like charge into a Scientology place. And I don't think that, like, it's not like violent, and just like as soon as somebody's like, no, like security pushes them back, they'll go. Like it is technically, I think it is technically, I don't know, definitely not respecting private property. So I definitely have sub-quabs with this. But either way, it's hilarious. But the kids have been getting together. They've been raiding these Scientology ones. But I want to show you guys one of the funnier ones out there. Apparently they did one with midgets. They were Christian dwarfs of some sort, I guess some sort of organization of Christian dwarfs fighting back against Scientology. I guess a lot of this is the kids have come hip to like what Scientology, some of the stuff they've done. I've never really gone too deep into the Scientology stuff on this show. I definitely should maybe one of these days do like a couple episodes or something, getting real deep into it. But yeah, they do some fucked up shit over at Scientology, and it's I don't know. Anyways, I don't need to tell you guys. We're not going to do a deep dive with Scientology. I just want to show you guys these raids. This is funny. Let's watch this one together. Apparently, this is them trying to hunt down Tom Cruise.
Today, me and my friends are raiding the church of Scientology. Yeah! Go! No, let's go! Me! Let's go! Woo! Where's Dino? Jesus is king, baby! Oh, go! I find Zenu! They go in the building. Oh, go!
I'm gonna find out where you guys live, and I'm gonna go to your house.
Today?
All right. This is one I'm still kind of torn on. I don't know how to feel about it. I think technically, it's like, I guess even if we're trying to look at it from like get nerdy about it, and from like a private property, or like is this a respecting rights? Obviously, I think Scientology is guilty of a whole lot of crimes, so there's that argument of like. But anyways, I guess it is like I think these are typically semi-open in the sense that they are like, they're kind of like churches, most of these areas, so it is like they do somewhat welcome the public, so it is like sort of an open area, and these guys are like, I guess they are pushing it, but once they kind of get blocked off and they're like, it's very clear, like, get the fuck out, then they leave. So it's not like these people, like, I haven't seen any raids that have gotten like actually violent. Although obviously that could end up being a problem. That could end up being an issue, is that one of these does turn violent. So I guess that would be the word of caution there. But I can't deny that it's hilarious. It's clearly bringing awareness to the issue. Like a lot of young people are like kind of bringing a fun flair to, I don't know, exposing these cults. These which I don't know, they're once you get to the really tippy top of like Scientology stuff, it gets really glowy, if you catch my drift. But anyways, yeah, that's that. I wanted to let you guys know this is a thing going on. I'm torn on it. It's funny at the very least. It's bringing awareness. This could become an issue. I don't know. You guys tell me what you guys' thoughts are about it in the chat. It's at least hilarious. And let's check it out in Russia. This is one of these stories that with any time we're in the icebreaker content, you kind of should just like color it with a little bit of air. We're just trying to have fun. Don't take it too serious here. So I don't know the legit journalistic integrity of the specific bit we're going to go through. This could totally just be one of those, like, I don't know, one of those fake stories that gets viral on Twitter. Those are like a dime a dozen. But either way, they're still entertaining, and so sometimes I bring them to you. And here's one of a supposed claim of an issue in Russia, where a Russian court ordered a foreign man to leave the country because of an online review he wrote about a leather skirt. In September 2025, the man bought a faux leather skirt on the big Russian shopping site Wildberries, and he posted photos of himself wearing it and wrote, "What a lovely little skirt. It hides not just the flaws of my figure, but also the fact that I'm a guy." The court in the Tula area said the review promoted non-traditional sexual relations, which is against Russian law. They gave him 5 days in detention and ordered his deportation. The man asked the court not to send him away, but the judge ruled against him. So I guess this is another one where I'm torn. Obviously, my principles would say, like, yes, you should be able to, as a man, take pictures of yourself in cute skirts and post reviews online and be like this. But on the flip side, also, what the fuck? And maybe Russia has a point. No idea if this is true or not. Once again, I just found it to be a funny story. That straight to jail, says Putin, which I don't know. It could be bullshit. It's totally believable, though, from what I understand of their country. But speaking of craziness in our country, this is real. This is legit. This is our president right here. I just figured we'd have some fun and we'd go through some boomer posts of Trump. I have a whole article ready for this, but here's the one that really, I think, kind of takes the cake. Seems like he's been having lots of fun with AI photos. Here is him, Trump, kind of laying out, which he's ripped in this. Like, it's kind of, all right, this is how he sees himself, I guess. But he's figured out how to use AI, or somebody around him has. So he created this photo with the Washington Monument in the back. And looks like they're like him, JD, Marco, and I don't know who the other two people are supposed to be, are laying in a pool, kind of, which I think the Washington Monument has like a pool right in front of it, right? So I think it's supposed to be like that pool. So it's kind of like them in the sun, which I guess if I'm trying to understand the brain of Trump, and he has this like talking line, this like talking point he always likes to bring up. Anytime he thinks anyone's trashing the United States, he's like, we're the hottest place. It's so hot. Like, this is legit the language he uses. So I guess maybe this is supposed to be some sort of visual representation of that, but I just thought it'd be fun to just go through some boomer posts of Trump. We also, I think it was the last dump we did, there was that one of him, which I'm almost certain it was, because that was the thumbnail I used. Where he has the AR and there's all explosions in the back. He's got aviator glasses on. He was like making tough guy threats to Iran with fake AI photos. So more of the same. Here's this. So here, yeah, it's Donald Trump. This is over the weekend. I believe this was over like Saturday night. That was the thing. It was like Saturday night. There was a whole string of a crazy basic about it. Figure, let's read it. Let's have some fun. And then we'll pop in the chat. We'll say our good mornings. I hope you guys all had a great weekend. Forbes' bizarre string of Trump posts includes photo swimming shirtless in DC reflecting pool. Yeah, that's what it's called. The reflecting bizarre string of mostly AI generated photos to True Social, including a photo of himself sunbathing shirtless in the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool with members of his source stuff. I'm like, I think he may actually legit just run his own Twitter account. Although I remember seeing this like behind the scenes video once where he had like someone that would tweet for him. I think I'm vaguely recollect. Maybe I got this wrong, but I thought this was on like the campaign trail. I remember seeing like, I think, because I was like, everybody's like, oh, how do you tweet that? And it was like, I think he legit had some like assistant who would just be like, write this down. This is good stuff right here. It's so I think maybe that's what's occurring here. But either way, you'd think whoever is helping him might be like, I mean, I guess it's that is like when your grandpa's boomer posting. I mean, how do you talk him out of it? I mean, I guess when it's like a normal grandpa, it's like, who gives a shit? Let him boomer post. But when it's the president of the United States, you're like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? All right, let's move on. The first photo posted just after 11 p.m. on Friday depicted Trump swimming shirtless in the reflecting pool, which is currently undergoing a high-profile renovation, alongside J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio. Okay, I guess the other one was supposed to be Interior Secretary Doug Burgum, which I've never even heard of, so I guess he gets some shine in this. Okay, good for him. I guess he managed to get a little clout. And an unidentified woman in a bikini. So, okay. Don't know who the chick is. Over the 41 minutes that followed, he posted 10 more times, including a meme of himself holding a handful of wild cards from the game Uno alongside the caption, "I have all the cards." So actually, let's go over to that one right here. I actually have that one ready right here. Here is the "I have all the cards." Him literally holding all wild Uno cards, which, granted, it's kind of funny. I guess just in the bizarre nature of it, just that like he just is just something like 10 plus AI photos in a row, like memes. I'll give it to him. This is kind of funny, but I mean, this is another one of his talking points. It seems like he's trying to make his like recent talking points, particularly about like the war and stuff, into just trying to meme them. But it comes off as kind of pathetic when they're like, there's nothing to them. Because I mean, maybe if you're still riding with Trump on this, on all the stuff going on, maybe this is funny to you. But I mean, it's funny in more of the absurd way for me, but not in like this strikes true. In like I don't know, whatever. I just, obviously some people are looking at this differently. So it is funny. This is clearly, once again, one of his other, I have all the cards. That's what he keeps saying anytime anyone asks about Iran. Like, we've destroyed their navy. We've done this. We've done that. We've done this. We've done that. We have all the cards. And you're like, well, you don't. But, okay, even if you do, like, they're clearly not playing cards, pal. All right, moving back over to the article. There was also one of his own face superimposed on one end of Mount Rushmore next to Abraham Lincoln, which here is that one. Which who is that on that? Now I'm wondering, who is that face covering up? You got Washington. Who are the faces on Mount Rushmore? Now I want to know. Mount Rushmore, right face. I wonder who the right face is. Face, or I guess I could just done left to right. Who is that one? Oh wait, does it end with Lincoln? Is that what it is? Does it only have the 4? Okay, it only has the 4. That's what it is. Okay, there's only the 4. Lincoln's on the end, but I guess it's just the way the AI made it, is they added another little like rock structure. I'm assuming he probably tried to get them to literally put his face on it, and then AI was probably just like, okay, and then like did this, which here you go. Here's I don't think I'd showed it. Here you go. Here is the monument, and then Lincoln on the far right, and then Trump right next to it, which I just looked up. I can show you real quick, just so you guys can trust me. Here is the actual Mount Rushmore. So it ends at Lincoln. So it goes, but in this one, their little AI rendering here that he made, it's like they added a little structure, but then they put his face over it, like a literal photo of it. So I'm assuming he was trying to get them to literally make his face on Mount Rushmore. But either way, here is the one. He provided no caption for this one, so seemingly like he's leaning into kind of like the Jesus posting again, although on a different, in a different way. It's more like patriotism posting as opposed to, but same basic vibe, like trying to like, I don't know, grandiose. I don't know. Anyways, moving back, let's go over here. Over the 41 minutes, you uploaded a low-quality screenshot of a photo Democratic House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries had posted to his own social media accounts last summer, in which he's holding a baseball bat and called Jeffries a low IQ, an insult he's frequently used against black people and women, which, whatever. Jeffries is kind of fucking stupid, to be honest. So let's look at this one. Okay, people are adding this to it, but this is actually, so far as Trump posts go, this is nothing. This is like, and he's correct, like, fuck Hakeem Jeffries. So yeah, this is the pose. Low IQ Democrat minority leader Hakeem Jeffries is nothing but a thug, and he's a danger to the country. President Donald J. Trump. He took some post of his where he's holding a baseball bat. There's nothing that crazy about this one, so I don't even know why that's being included. He also posted photos of his wife, First Lady Melania Trump, one of them standing next to Britain's King Charles taken during the royal visit last week, and several rendering styles photos of his planned changes to the reflecting pool. Okay, I don't know. I feel like actually the media may have made this seem more unhinged than it was. There was definitely a couple fun little boomer things in here. A little background, I guess, to the reflecting pool. Why it keeps coming back to this. Apparently, he announced renovation to it. That has anchored the Washington, D.C. Mall for more than 100 years. He said he plans to coat the granite structure in a commercial-grade pool liner in a color called America Flag Blue. Okay, I don't know how I feel about that. A move seems a cheaper alternative to major repairs needed to fix long-standing leaks. One of the photos Trump posted shared a close-up of algae growing in the current pool under the name Hussein Obama. Next to a rendering of the pool after the liner is installed, Trump captioned the post, "This is what our country was before and after Trump. Decision to renovate has drawn the ire of historic preservation experts who've questioned the aesthetic choice and said it spits in the face of efforts to preserve the look of the nation's capital." The reflecting pool is hollow ground. Charles Birnbaum, former coordinator of the National Park Service Historic Landscape Initiative, told Politico it shouldn't resemble a swimming pool. I mean, yeah, I got a point. I guess like I'd have to see it to understand what they're getting at, but it sounds kind of tacky the way I'm seeing it in my head. The reflecting pool was vandalized overnight, Thursday, I guess. Graffiti measuring roughly 15 by 30 feet was recovered at the site Friday morning, and U.S. Park Police have since launched an investigation. The graffiti featured the numbers 8647. Oh, shit. Okay. For those who, this is a callback to the Comey thing. For those who don't recall, some of the MAGA retards are still spinning out about that. I don't know if that was meant to say to kill Trump. I don't fucking know. It just seems like a gay little distraction, to be honest, to keep the fucking the Tim Pools of the world to keep going, "Oh my God, we have a bombshell." What? Okay, cool. Fuck off. Anyways, a phrase combining the colloquial use of the number 86 and 47 representing Trump. Now, 86 means to get rid of or reject, which we've gone down this rabbit hole before, way back when, the 86-47 thing. I've never heard that being used. I guess a lot of people swear there's no other way that can mean other than to kill someone. I'm like, I don't know. I looked into it, and it seems to be there's plenty of other explanations. But even if it was to saying to kill him, it's such a cryptic, like, okay, like, all right. I mean, I'm completely open to the idea that Comey is part of some conspiracy, but this just seems paper thin. But anyways, former FBI Director Comey was indicted last week for posting a photo of seashells spelling out the phrase last summer. The Justice Department has alleged the post was a threat against the president. Comey said his message was misinterpreted, which I thought they had indicted him for it before, but I think they indicted him for something else. So it's clearly, I mean, it's funny that they had the whole weaponization of, stuff, starting, and now they're literally doing weaponization, which I have no love loss for James Comey, but it's very obvious, and I mean, it's been almost spelled out overtly multiple times. They're just gunning for some of these people, and it's in such a silly way that it just comes off as this, I don't know, it just, if you're someone who's actually serious about justice for, say, the COVID regime and stuff, the way about which they're going about this should offend you, because it's like this essentially almost the way they're flippantly behaving and going after these people in clear ways to show that they're not serious. Like, oh, we're going to indict Obama. Are you? Like, it almost makes it seem like nothing's going to end up happening at all. Like, I don't know what I'm trying to say there, but it's if anything, it's just almost like catnip to keep you away from the truth or some shit. Anyways, whatever. That's all we got for I guess Trump's loony posting. I think they may have exaggerated a little bit. There was a couple funny ones, but that's interesting. I didn't know that about the vandalism at the reflecting pool or whatever. So I'm not gonna lie. The conspiratorial part of me goes, well, are they? As they're trying to get this repair through, is this like a false flag of their own? I mean, which sounds ridiculous, but there's a lot of weird contracting stuff going on. So, and there's lots of money to be made. We haven't gone down that rabbit hole in this show, but apparently there's a lot of weird contract stuff going on there, like weird construction contracts. Clearly some sort of money laundering operation of some sort. Like, people are making big money off of all this stuff. So I know we all kind of scoffed at the ballroom stuff and shit like that, but I mean, maybe I know it sounds ridiculous but I do think there's some corrupt component at the very least. Now, how much is that influencing all of this other stuff? I don't know. Is it really as simple as just construction contracts? Which, let's be real, that's like, if you're talking to the sinister side of that, that's some like mafia shit. So, I mean, I know it sounds ridiculous, but I don't know, maybe there's something to it. Whatever. All right, guys, let's roll into the chat. Let's say some good mornings. I've meandered about Trump's weird weekend long enough. We'll get into the foreign policy stuff here in a minute, but let's go through the chat, say some good mornings. As you're popping in here, help a brother out, hit that like button, do all the things. If you can hype it, whatever the thing is, 5-star reviews, subscribe, and also you can always support the show. So, but with that, let's roll through, say some good mornings. Good morning, Marcus Packard. Good morning, good morning, Manda Panda. Good morning, Tower Gang NPC. Good morning, Daz. Good morning, Mr. Woke Reich. Good morning. Good morning, Psycho Mantis 65 says the dwarf raid was hilarious. Also asking who would win between Xenu and Jacob. That's a good one. Xenu. I would assume Xenu, because wasn't Jacob supposedly some sort of like prehistoric scientist? Like, yeah, he did have super sciencey powers. But I guess in just like the basic overview, which is all I really have, I would imagine him as being like more earthbound, because he wasn't like, I didn't hear anything about him like, jumping planets or doing anything. So he's more of like terrestrial level threat. Whereas like, and I don't know enough about Xenu. Maybe if we got down to the specifics, like evaluating power sets or something, but just on a very, very basic level for what they're known for. I know Xenu's like Scientology's like big bad that forever ago, like, he somehow brought all the souls and trapped them in a fucking earth, in a volcano or something. But he was like an intergalactic, like alien warlord or some shit that also had the technological ability to manipulate souls to this degree. That's like a whole other level of power than just like, I made white people. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, I think Xenu takes that one. I mean, maybe there's there's a lot of wiggle room in there somewhat, but for the most part, I think just overview, big picture, I struggle to see how Jacob clinches the W on this one. But either way, both great. I give Jacob, I'm partial to him for which historical character I like better. Jacob's more fun. Like, he's more of a fun concept to play around with than just Xenu. Xenu is just too over the top, you know what I mean? Too weird and sci-fi-y. Whereas Jacob's just like fun. Like, did you know these guys think that isn't like the Muslims thing? It's like the Muslims that think, no, it's like the Nation of Islam stuff, which is like a Muslim, but it's like an offshoot. I think it's kind of like the Muslimite version of like Christian identity type stuff, if I'm gonna put it simply. So, anyways, where they're like Jacob made white people. Which, okay, I know, it's funny. It's fun. We have fun here. Good morning, Chuck Bam. Good morning, Ikamba. Good morning, Marnimac. Good morning, JC. What else do we see? Marnimac says 86 started out as a restricted term when you would cancel an order item. It's so stupid. Yeah, see, like, that's my understanding. Is like, wasn't also like a restaurant term for like cancel the order? So, like, yeah, I guess you can interpret that literally as, like, kill the guy, but it could also be, like, get him out of the presidency. So, yeah, it's dumb. What else we got here? 86 means you're out of something in the restaurant business, says Josh Zman. Good morning to you, Josh Zman. But, all right, guys, yeah, that's we'll come back around to say some more good mornings, check in the chat here in a bit. But let's get into some foreign policy stuff. All right, let's jump right in. What do we got first? Let me clear out some of these tabs. 1 second. My bad. Usually I clear these out as I go. All right, here we go. Trump, the latest in the world war. What's going on there? The back and forth, I guess what we can call diplomacy between Iran. Apparently now they're saying they're going to guide ships. This is what Trump said. He said the U.S. will guide ships out of the Strait of Hormuz starting this morning, today, Monday, so May 4th. Oh, wait, today's May 4th? Oh, hey, May the 4th be with you for all the Star Wars nerds. Totally forgot about that. I mean, Man, I probably could have thrown together some sort of Star Wars content, but whatever. Who gives a shit? President Trump sent a long post on Truth Social on Sunday night that the U.S. has informed other countries that it will help guide their commercial ships out of the Strait of Hormuz, a move that would mark an escalation of U.S. military operations off of Iran's coast and risk an Iranian response. The president dubbed the effort Project Freedom and said that it would begin on Monday morning Iran time. Trump said the countries the U.S. will assist are neutral and the victim of circumstance. That circumstance being the U.S. and Israel launching a war with Iran. This is a humanitarian gesture on behalf of the United States, Middle Eastern countries, but in particular the country of Iran, Trump wrote. If in any way this humanitarian process is interfered with, that interference will unfortunately have to be dealt with forcefully. In response to Trump's announcement, a senior Iranian official told Dropsite News that the move is primarily intended to provoke Iran into taking an initial step toward confrontation, thereby creating a pretext for escalation and enabling him to justify further military action in response to an Iranian initiative. The official said that Iran's definitive position is that any commercial vessel attempting to transit through designated restricted routes without prior coordination will be promptly intercepted by Iranian forces. Should U.S. military vessels respond, such actions would be met with an immediate and corresponding response from Iran. So the Iranian official also noted that U.S. warships are currently far from the Strait of Hormuz, and if that any commercial ships attempt to exit the Persian Gulf, they will be intercepted by Iranian vessels well before reaching the U.S. naval armada. Now, here's the catch. Trump has this habit of making some big claims, and then it's not quite the way he made it seem. So, not that I want that to be the truth, because, this could easily provoke a conflict. But, anyways, U.S. officials told Axios that Trump's announcement doesn't necessarily mean the U.S. Navy ships would be escorting commercial vessels. They said U.S. warships would be in the vicinity, but that it would involve the Navy providing information to commercial ships about the best way to navigate through the strait. So they're just saying, we're going to be where we're at already, but, if you come through here, we'll give you some tips. Trump also said the Post that his representatives are having very positive discussions with the country of Iran, and that these discussions should lead to something very positive for all, though there are currently no direct negotiations as messages are being passed through Pakistan. The U.S. has responded to Iran's new proposal, which, according to Iranian media, is aimed at putting a permanent end to hostilities in the region, including in Lebanon, where Israel has continued its occupation, heavy strikes, and demolition of buildings despite its ceasefire agreement and Trump's declaration that Israel was prohibited from further attacks in the country. So yeah, we have this, I guess there's a new proposal that's being put forth, but once again, it's including the Lebanon stuff, which, to get into the back and forth of who did what and when and where, we were supposed to go into a ceasefire, and that's why we're in this kind of weird stalled, and we sort of are still, situation, and Iran was like, they kind of said, hey, if you do X, Y, and Z, then we're cool with a ceasefire, and then U.S. was like, okay, and then the next day, just kidding on a bunch of those specific things, and then that's when Iran was like, well, then okay, then we don't open the strait, because that's what we've been so we're just back to the status quo, except for we're not shooting you now. Then they go, well, then now we'll blockade it, so I don't know. It's ridiculous. But anyway, no, I was getting the Lebanon point, because the one of the big sticking points too was the Lebanon thing, because they're like, Trump initially was said oh, they need to stop everything they're doing, and essentially they did an even more overt version of what they did in Gaza this time around, where they said, oh, okay, yeah, we'll stop, we'll do a ceasefire, we'll do all these things. And then they just continue to murder. They create a line where, well, if it's beyond this line, it's cool. But also still killing the other area, destroying the area that they took as a buffer zone. There's no way Iran's going to be cool with this. So I guess kind of what I'm driving at, too, is we got another proposal, but it looks like more games will be coming our way. Summer media reports said that Iran's 14-point proposal included a 15-year freeze on Iran's uranium enrichment and a resumption of enrichment at the 3.67% level, but Iran's foreign ministry denied that it was the case. The plan we have presented is centered on ending the war. There are absolutely no details regarding the country's nuclear issues in this proposal, said Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesman Esmail Baqi. Baki also said the Americans have given their answer to Iran's 14-point plan to the Pakistani side, and we are currently reviewing it. 1 second. Apparently, now Trump says the U.S. is acting like pirates against Iran. I feel like we may have covered I can't remember if we specifically covered this, but there was something that one of the Iranian guys said a while back that that we're behaving like pirates. This is during one of the multiple times when we seized one of these ships trying to go in the area, and Iran was like, because they had came up with deals and they had certain people they were allowing to go through Strait. Then Trump was apparently boarded a few of those carriers, those ships or whatever. And that's when we got some statements from them that they were acting like pirates. Well, now Trump is saying that he's acting like pirates. He said on Friday the U.S. Navy was acting like pirates, but he's saying it like the cool way. Ooh, like pirates. So I guess that's just a funny thing about this is like this is clearly like a bit of a Trumpism. And they're like, oh, you're being like a pirate. And he's like, yeah, goddamn right I'm being like a fucking pirate. That's fucking cool. You're like, oh, that wasn't a good thing. While enforcing the blockade against Iran, comments that affirm Tehran's characterization of the U.S. military action, which has involved seizing ships and Iranian oil. We land on top of it and we took over the ship, Trump told the crowd of his supporters during a rally in Florida while discussing an Iranian cargo ship the U.S. military fired on and boarded in the Gulf of Oman. Let's see. Give me a second. Let me take this up and bring it back. Give me a second. StreamYard's being weird, so I got to take this up and take this down, bring it back up. Because I want to just go ahead and show you guys the clip here. So we're not imagining anything. We got all the body language. We got the context. Let's go and play. Here's Donald Trump in his own words on this.
And there was no response. Turn your ship around. Evacuate your engine room immediately. And you see all these guys running out of it. Now, they're 5 miles away. And one shot into the engine room, blew up the engine room. The ship stopped. They used tugboats, and then we landed on top of it. On top of everything else, we then land on top of it, and we took over the ship. We took over the cargo, took over the oil. It's a very profitable business. Who would have thought we were doing that? We're like pirates. We're sort of like pirates. But we're not playing games because, for 47 years, Iran has been pushing.
Sort of like pirates. We're pirates. So he's like trying to put a little funny flavor on it. Esmail Baki, Iran's foreign ministry spokesman, said that Trump's comments were an acknowledgement of the criminal nature of the U.S. blockade, which it is. The president of the United States has openly described the unlawful seizure of Iranian vessels as piracy, brazenly boasting that we act like pirates. This was no verbal slip. It was a direct and damning admission of the criminal nature of their actions against international maritime navigation. Baki wrote on X, the international community, UN member states, and UN Secretary General must firmly reject any normalization of such blatant violations of international law. So, kind of wild, just saying the thing. And he's also at the same time he keeps saying this thing, keeps asking Isaac Herzog, the president of Israel, to give Netanyahu a pardon. For those who don't recall, Netanyahu is this. Seems like every time, a good rule of thumb is any time things get really, really, really rocky in the Middle East, like shit is picking back up, you should probably go check. Like, I wonder what's going on with Netanyahu's corruption trial, and it's probably like some sort of significant moment happening. So that's what I'm getting. So we have Trump once again trying to get Netanyahu a pardon for all of this. He's ramping up pressure on Tel Aviv to grant a pardon to Netanyahu. Israeli leader is battling multiple corruption charges. Trump told the Israeli outlet Khan News on Sunday, tell your president to pardon Bibi. He's a wartime prime minister. They wouldn't have Israel if it wasn't for me and Bibi in that order. You want to have a prime minister that can focus on the war, not focus on nonsense. Netanyahu and his wife are facing multiple corruption charges. Israel's President Isaac Herzog has the power to grant a pardon. Last week, Trump said Herzog could become an Israeli hero by granting Netanyahu a pardon. I like the guy, Herzog, Trump said. He'll be a national hero if he gives Bibi a pardon. I will very much appreciate it. Herzog says he does not plan to make a decision until negotiations with Netanyahu's legal team are concluded. Israel will hold elections in October. If Netanyahu's Likud does not win the election, the chance the prime minister could go to jail increases. Prior to last week, Trump was attacking Herzog in an effort to pressure him into granting Netanyahu a pardon. Trump has equated his legal battles with Netanyahu, dismissing both as witch hunts, which I've not looked too deeply into them, but it is these corruption charges are kind of, from my understanding, kind of gay stuff. Like, I mean, I think they might have them on. It might be like legit, but I'm just saying, just one of those weak things. It's like weird financial nonsense from my recollection of it. So, which, don't get me wrong, he may be guilty as hell. It's just kind of, it just feels like underwhelming when you're like, oh, you mean the international war criminal? He's facing corruption charges for some financial something or other. Like, okay, like I hope they get him for it, to be very clear. So, because fuck that guy, but it just feels underwhelming with all things considered. We also got another airstrike over in Somalia, so more murder going on over there. We're up to 61. So yeah, they said in a release on Friday that AFRICOM said that forces launched an airstrike against Al-Shabaab on April 30th, about 30 miles northeast of Kismayo, putting the attack in Lower Juba, Somalia's southernmost region. As usual, no more details. So we've got this expansive murder campaign going over in Somalia, but hey, whatever. We're ending these wars, I guess, or something like that, right? Moving on over to Gaza. Apparently, we're looking like we might be shutting down a base that we had set up there, which is good, but the reasoning is pretty fucking crazy embarrassing. So let's go through this. A report, U.S. to close military base meant to oversee Gaza ceasefire deal that Israel has constantly violated. So we've talked about this on this foreign policy portion of the show multiple times. This international force they were trying to throw together, and this is the military base at which they were going to do it. And this is when they were struggling to get nations to come together to help with them. I think we sent some of our own there. I mean, we're going to get through all this here in a second in the article, but yeah. And now they're shutting it down. So that's quite the optics there. So, I mean, I didn't want them to be there in the first place because we kind of assumed like nothing was going to happen. But anyways, let's go through this. The Trump administration is set to shutter a U.S.-led military base in southern Israel meant to oversee the Gaza ceasefire deal, which Israel has constantly violated, according to a report from Reuters. The Civil Military Coordination Center was established after the Gaza ceasefire deal was signed in early October 2025, and 200 U.S. troops were initially deployed. Since then, the U.S. has done and said nothing as Israel continued killing Palestinians, restricting aid, and taking additional territory in Gaza. Yeah, so in layman's terms, this was like the center, the coordination center for this group. They were throwing together that the purpose of it was to oversee the Gaza deal. That we are currently, sort of in one phase or another. I forget what phase we're even fucking in. But this was the Gaza deal that brought it to the current ceasefire in crazy big scare quotes. And the ceasefire that we're currently in, which, almost 1,000 people have died under. So quite the fucking ceasefire. But this was the group of the military group, I guess, that was supposed to be thrown together to kind of oversee it, kind of be this third party. And despite that, we've done nothing. So weren't able to get really seemingly anyone to help, and even then the U.S. presence there seemingly made no difference whatsoever. Sources told Reuters the CMC's responsibilities would be handed over to the International Stabilization Force, so the CMCC, the ISF is that group I'm talking about, this international group that was supposed to be thrown together, which never really did. So this is why this does get kind of confusing in like what they're saying here. But this is, we'll come back to that, which was supposed to be established and deployed to Gaza under President Trump's Gaza plan, though it's unclear what that means since an international force to deploy to Gaza never actually materialized. So this seems more like more word games. You say you're passing it off to the ISF, which is basically non-existent, and although I think it is being run by somebody that's like one of the U.S. military members is one of the heads of it, so I think technically it'll get handed off to him, and then it'll probably close or something. So anyways, continuing on, the report said that the U.S. planned to shutter the CM. So point being, it kind of makes it sound like less of a failure and more of a changing of hands, but then they kind of fail to acknowledge that like the changing of hands is then to just then have a failure after that. But anyways, report said the U.S. plan to under the U.S. plan to shutter the CMCC, the U.S. would reduce the number of troops at the outpost from 190 to 40 and want civilian staff from other countries to fill the roles left vacant by U.S. military personnel. It's unclear what those roles entail since Israel has essentially torn up the ceasefire deal and there's been no progress in implementing Trump's plan, as Hamas has maintained it will not discuss disarmament until the first plan of the deal is actually implemented. Diplomatic sources told Reuters that the CMC never actually had the authority to enforce the ceasefire or ensure that enough aid was entering Gaza. Some U.S. officials described the U.S. plan as an overhaul of the CMCC, but diplomatic sources told Reuters that it would effectively shut down the base once the ISF takes over. The base will be rebranded as the International Gaza Support Center and will still be led by a U.S. general, Major General Jasper Jeffers, who was appointed by the White House as the head of the ISF. So they're passing it off to this general who is, and now they're just kind of moving things around. So it's basically shutting down. It's kind of like a perception game they're playing here. And as that's going on, this ineffective peacekeeping force, they're still killing over in Gaza. So they killed a 15-year-old over the weekend. An Israeli drone attack killed a 15-year-old in Khan Yunis. As the IDF continues its constant violations of the U.S.-backed ceasefire deal. The boy, identified as Riyad Naji Abu Nimir, was hit by shrapnel when an Israeli drone dropped a bomb on a group of civilians, and he died of his injuries before reaching the hospital. Several others were wounded in the attack. So later in the day, a second Palestinian was killed by Israeli gunfire in the same area. Israeli attacks were also reported in northern Gaza, where one Palestinian was killed by IDF troops in Jabalia, according to WAFA. According to numbers from Gaza's health ministry, at least 6 Palestinians were killed by Israeli attacks over the last 3 days. A number of victims are still under the rubble and in the streets, as ambulance and civil defense crews have been unable to reach them so far, the ministry said in its daily update on Sunday. The ministry also said that since the so-called ceasefire deal was signed in early October, the IDF has killed at least 830 Palestinians, and 3,342 have been wounded. The continued Israeli strikes come despite a report in Israeli media the IDF was ordered to reduce its attacks in Gaza last week. The report from the Israeli newspaper Haaretz said the U.S. had requested Israel to conduct fewer attacks. How nice of them to finally fucking do. I mean, if you could kill a little less, that'd be cool. To foster negotiations with Hamas, which have shown no signs of progress due to constant Israeli violations, and Hamas's insistence that it won't discuss disarmament until the first phase of the truce is actually implemented. Seems pretty fair, considering Israel's track record with every deal fucking ever. And moving on over to Lebanon, they're murdering there too. Who would have thought? This is why I'm a little bit not so hopeful about this newest round of talks with Iran. We'll see. Scores killed in Israeli strikes in southern Lebanon despite the ceasefire supposedly holding. Scores of people, including a number of women and children, have been killed over the course of the weekend in southern Lebanon as Israeli strikes continue to escalate across the region, and numbers from the Lebanese health ministry show the overall death toll of the war continuing to spiral, despite reports continuing to present the active ceasefire in Lebanon as holding. The health ministry's most recent numbers, released on Saturday, had at least 2,679 people killed so far since the Israeli invasion in early March. Those numbers continue to consistently rise despite a ceasefire nominally being in place for weeks now. The health ministry's number includes 20 killed on Sunday alone. This is in a ceasefire. And 46 others wounded. The wounded included at least 4 paramedics who were wounded in an Israeli strike near a medical center in the Tyre district, which we've covered numerous times, particularly in Lebanon and in Gaza, them killing paramedics, them killing journalists, so more of the same. Another number is growing, and that's the number of Lebanese displaced by this war, as the IDF issued new evacuation orders for 10 additional towns in Nabatea district. Oh, okay. So more of what they were doing before, making these villages evacuate, and who's don't, they're going to destroy the whole place. So now they're going north of the Litany River. That's great, because keep in mind they destroyed all the bridges in the Litany River, which damn near bisected the nation. So I mean, the supposed ceasefire and them stopping consists of them basically taking over almost half the nation. Totally makes sense. Lebanese officials now put the number of displaced at 1.6 million. Which, I think the Nakba was 400,000 to 700,000 or something like that, and we're still dealing with the effects of the trauma cycles to this day. So, Jesus, which is over 25% of the entire population of Lebanon, since this also includes virtually the entire south, which is where much of the agriculture takes place. Lebanon is expected to have a growing food shortage problem and will be reliant on international aid. Early in the ceasefire, Israel established a new yellow line which demarcated their newly occupied portion of Lebanon from the rest of the country. IDF chief Yael Zamir was quoted recently as saying the military will, however, continue to operate north of the Yellow Line as well as north of the Litany River. So the Yellow Line doesn't even fucking mean anything anymore. So they're in a ceasefire, and the reason is we need a buffer zone, and so we have this Yellow Line, but we're also going to operate forward of the Yellow Line. Make it make sense. This is like top tier Jew tricks. Like, this is language means nothing. Moving on to this is our last foreign policy story. Well, despite all of this, looks like we're going to keep on funding it to the tune of billions. The U.S. approved $8.6 billion in arms sales to its Middle East allies. This is over Al Jazeera. U.S. has approved $8.6 billion in arms sales to Middle East allies amid the U.S.-Israeli war on Iran. The sales come after U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio cited emergency circumstances to fast-track the transfers without prior review by the U.S. Congress. So they're intentionally bypassing Congress, so they don't even have to deal with the one or two holdouts or having to deal with any sort of... Although they're getting more holdouts these days, so it's becoming more of a political faux pas. Israel and the Gulf states have faced a barrage of missile and drone attacks from Iran since the start of the war in late February, draining their stockpiles of U.S. weapons and straining their air defense systems. The sales include the transfer of an advanced precision kill weapon system, APKWS, and related equipment to Israel for $992 million, and the purchase of battle command systems by Kuwait for $2.5 billion. Qatar has been approved to buy an APKWS and restock its Patriot air and missile defense systems at a cost of nearly $5 billion, while the United Arab Emirates has been cleared to buy an APKWS for $148 million. In a series of announcements on Friday, the U.S. State Department said it had provided detailed justification of an emergency requiring the sales in the national security interest in the United States, bypassing the congressional review process outlined in the Arms Export Control Act. Patriot systems are used to intercept incoming projectiles and rank among the most advanced defense equipment in the U.S. military arsenal. APKWS is used to convert unguided rockets into precision-guided munitions. The battle command systems for Kuwait will improve the country's air defense detection with radar, the State Department said. The State Department in March approved separate arms sales worth $16.5 billion to the UAE, Kuwait, and Jordan. The deals included drones, missiles, radar systems, and F-16 aircraft for the UAE, and air and missile defense radar systems for Kuwait. Away from the Gulf, the heavy use of U.S. munitions in the war in Iran has raised concerns about Washington's ability to fight China in the case of a war over Taiwan, the self-governed island that Beijing claims as its territory. A report published by the Center for Strategic and International Studies last month concluded the U.S. had enough stockpiled for the war on Iran, but would need more for an adversary such as China. Pre-war inventories were already insufficient. The levels today will constrain U.S. operations should a future conflict arise, the report said. So, more money for our foreign allies. I do find it particularly interesting. I'm wondering, because it sounds like we're re-upping or essentially preparing them for the effects of such shit that we essentially did over there. So point being is, like, a lot of these are like where U.S. military bases are at, and I mean, there's all these reports that supposedly they sustained a lot of damage. I don't have any sort of inside knowledge on that. Obviously they're fronting like it wasn't that bad. Part of Iran's request is that, essentially we get the fuck out of the region. So, I mean, the bases are already fucked up. So point being is, I think we covered recently, I forget where, there was one, it was Germany, where they were going to no longer be stationed there, which is kind of a way station to the Middle East. But anyways, I just find it interesting that it's like a lot of these bases may be fucked up. There's maybe a decent chance that they may be leaving, and essentially we're kind of evacuating and paying for their new military force, perhaps. Maybe I'm wrong. I just find there to be some sort of weird irony there, if that ends up being the case. That we essentially fucked things up and essentially devalued our dollar even more just to tuck tail and to give it to somebody else. Anyways, let's get into the chat. That's all we got for our foreign policy coverage for today. Let's go through chat. Say some more good mornings. What's going on there? What the fuck? Got a weird hair sticking up. Let's go through the chat. Say some more good mornings, and then we'll get into our last segment of the day. Age of post-reality, Psyop Slop. But let's check in with you guys. See who all's in here. Let me see. Good morning, Tom. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, JMS. Good morning. Good morning. Saying hi, Jose. Hi. Hi to you. Did I already say hi to you? I already said hi to you, Psychomantis, and I'm not going to deboost my thing just for hello. So Orange Guy could at least recruit the Minnesota Somalis to work for us as pirates. I mean, there might be more to that. I know Israel's recruiting those fuckers, so... Which I almost brought. Maybe I'll have to bring that up tomorrow. There was a story. I didn't want to get too into the weeds on Somali stuff, but there's a story about some Israel. There's like some sort of. I didn't dig into it, so this is a rough take. Some sort of deals being formed between Israel and Somaliland, which is like a portion of Somalia. I think that's been that Israel has acknowledged their sovereignty as a state or whatever the fuck. Which they're one of the few people to have done that. It's been this weird, I guess, contentious issue in Somalia for a while. But essentially, I guess they're working with them to perhaps work on the Yemeni pirates. So you might be onto something there. So I think they don't really give any details about the supposed campaign they have going on, but I wouldn't be surprised if that somehow ties into that. But we're kind of working a little bit blind. They're just kind of like really all that's they're only. The extent of reporting on what's going on in Somalia seems to be just Dave DeCamp reporting on the press releases that AFRICOM gives occasionally, which is the Africa Command, or the Air Force's like command in the region or whatever that's tracking all these things. They put out press releases. No other reporters are really looking into it, so that's the extent of what we have. And even then, they're not. So it's kind of relying on what information they give, and it seems to be very little every time. They just kind of usually will give like a region. So you can't really extrapolate a whole lot out from that. But there's definitely some weird stuff going on over in Somalia. So it makes you wonder if it has something to do with it. Did I cover missing troops after training exercise? Maybe. I don't know. That sounds like a story I may have done before. Is that something new? I don't know. In Africa. It's not ringing a bell. Maybe I did. If you find it, feel free to tag me, and I'd love to cover it on the show. Good morning, Sirhan Solo. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, hey, say what now? Good morning, good morning. Good morning, Get Hubby Knock. A beautiful good morning to you with a $5 super chat. Appreciate the support, my brother. Good morning, Mustache. Good morning, good morning. Good to see you here. Saying Solid Kitchen. Thank you. Thank you, sir. I still got to redo the floors. I got to redo these floors, so just saving up the money to do that. But yeah, other than that, the kitchen looks pretty nice. So once we finally get those floors done, it'll look really fucking nice. So, all right, let's get into the last segment of the day, and then we'll pop in the chat one more time. But we're gonna get into the age of post-reality, Psyop Slop. I think a kind of an omen of the the shifting of the ages here is perhaps Alex Jones. InfoWars is shutting down, so. I know it almost feels like I like it. Alex Jones sits in this weird conspiracy space where like he's enjoyable. I can't help but like him. He's like a meme, but he obviously has been a vendor of misinfo and disinfo, and I don't mean that in the cringy like gay Biden era way. I mean I don't know if he was legitimately controlled op. At times it has seemed almost unavoidable to be like, I think this dude's fucking controlled op, but it's enjoyable. He's kind of always done played fast and loose with the truth, but it is enjoyable and I don't even know how to say. It's entertaining. It's great stuff, but he's been shut out by the I guess the whole Sandy Hook thing finally got to him. I guess there's a fun little I don't know. Maybe we'll dig into this one of these days, do a segment or something, but. I don't want to get too stuck in the weeds here trying to explain it to you, but I guess the Onion bought him out or something, and I guess now they own the InfoWars, and now they're doing this whole spoof thing with InfoWars, which is, I don't know, I guess just real quick. I've only seen clips, but I haven't particularly found all that funny, although admittedly I do actually find that comedian pretty funny. For example, I guess like, days before InfoWars shut down, Alex actually went on a weird, I think it was his name, like Chris Heidecker or something. I don't know. I've seen him in a lot of stuff. He was one of those guys who does those weird, like, 10 years ago when you'd be like, stoned out of your mind at fucking 2 a.m. and watching Adult Swim, and you're like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, he was one of those guys who would do some of those weird shows, from my understanding. Like, he's a comedian, I think, so I almost see that as like weird experimental comedy. They're just doing weird shit. I mean, some of them I've seen some stuff that would show up late on Adult Swim and like, this just feels straight up sinister. But either way, like, weird comedy, sometimes meta, overly ironic, definitely like stuff that, anyways, it's the kryptonite, I guess, for an Alex Jones. So I know but we may almost have to do it just for the comedy of it, because there was like whole bits on Alex playing this guy's comedy, some of those weird bits you'd see in like late night in Adult Swim and stuff. And then be like, oh my God, this is satanic. Like, kind of spitting it out into these crazy, which, I mean, I kind of get, because he would do like over the top, like that's the joke, like almost as if like, I don't know. We've entered this weird post-irony era, so somebody like an old-timer like Alex Jones watching some of this comedy is like, oh my God, what the fuck? Anyways, whatever. I didn't want to get too far astride. I haven't looked barely enough into that at all, but only reason I bring this up, the shutting down, I figured we'd play a little clip of him announcing. I just feel like it's like a changing of an era. And I think like these, at least the negative aspects of InfoWars, and maybe even some of the positive aspects, it's almost as if like that is now like seeping into the wider sphere. Like, we have entered into this era of, like I said, this post-reality Psyop Slop, which to some degree, that's kind of, especially the more reputable conspiracy vendors out there, that's typically what we usually, I guess I say I kind of sit in the middle somewhere, what we or they tend to see as the Alex Jones, the InfoWars type people. So, but as, Alex fades away, it's kind of, that has just become now the age. This is where we're all at. We're all at in this post-reality Psyop Slop. But either way, I mean, love him, hate him, he is a legend. He's out of here. I mean, I don't know what he's going to do now. I mean, I'll be interested, but it looks like InfoWars is over. Although I feel like we've had this storyline before, so I don't know. I don't really necessarily trust anything coming out of this realm. But let's go ahead and... although I will give Alex some credit. There was a period of time he was going super mega fucking hard in the paint, like, how could we ever think this guy isn't controlled op type, stuff. And then as of late, I don't know if maybe he's found a way to spin it around and cope again, because it seems to be a recurring theme, but he did really get hard off the Trump train and really was like, kind of like, oh, I'm being a little ridiculous, trying to find some, 60 chess conspiracy way to justify everything Trump does there at the end. So kudos to him. I don't know. Maybe at least that'll help with his legacy. I don't know. It's a complicated... I have complicated thoughts when it comes to Alex Jones. He is an entertainment legend. I also do think he's actually done a lot of legitimate good stuff for the conspiracy world. But on the flip side, there's some negative things that have come out of there too. But it's a mixed bag. But with that, let's check out this clip. This is their send-off.
And all glory goes to Jesus Christ, our Heavenly Father, that leads, guides, and directs us. We commit ourselves to God in this holy fight, and we are committed. And if God stands with us, who can stand against us? And that's how I close out. So I salute you all. What a crew. The hell we've been through has only made us stronger. Let me ask you, would you have any other way? No. Are you not stronger now in this fight? Yeah! I salute this crew and all the viewers and listeners to this fight, and I commit myself to Jesus Christ's hands.
Amen. God bless the InfoWar. Woo!
You are the InfoWar. It lives forever. We're going to play Frank Sinatra Blue Eyes and come back with the great Tom Renz and then Jay Dyer to close this out. God bless you all. That's it. The next phase starts. The real war begins now.
The real war begins now, guys. All right. No, I don't know what he's gonna do. I hope. I don't know. I don't know what I hope. Actually, do I want Alex? I don't really know what to mean. I enjoy him. I hope he somehow ends up being a force for good while continuing to be enjoyable. Because I do. We need enjoyment in this world, and I will give Alex that. He did bring a lot of joy to a lot of people. Had a lot of hilarious moments in his life. So ups for that. And I do think in his own way, he probably I do think he probably thinks was doing the right thing. Like, I guess to give a little bit of, how do I put this? A way to kind of describe kind of what I'm getting at. I know there was, I forget the name of the guy, but we played this clip, I think, at least once or twice, where he's this new influencer guy who's kind of describes how they compromise influencers. Because he was like some former Fed or something. I don't remember the guy's name. But essentially he points out like, oh, I just take him aside and I kind of go, you love your country, right? And we got their hook in. And then I might point out some negative things about their past and be like, look what I found. But like, hey, buddy, isn't it cool that me and you are homies? So like, I can protect you type thing. I think Alex, I mean, I don't know. I'm not necessarily saying Alex has a dark past. I don't really know the specifics of his social life. I'm not making any sort of specific accusations, but he's kind of been admittedly a wild man at times, so I wouldn't be surprised if there's some dirt there. But even without the dirt side of it, I think he is, from what I've seen of Alex Jones, of the years I've seen, I've never been like a hardcore Alex Jones fan. He does kind of seem like a peak mark for that. And I don't even mean for the blackmail side of it. I mean like the patriotism side of it. I could totally see you just being able to manipulate him with the like, you want to be a patriot, right, brother? Like, I could totally see him being able to manipulate, which is like how he tends to seat some of the stuff that a lot of us were like, what the fuck? And it's always as like some patriot, well, Trump's trying to do this and he's trying to do that. Because he is genuinely, I think, like maybe bought into like this is... It's kind of like the greater good art. Like, oh, he may have some negative here and there, but this is... Anyways, whatever. Let's get off this one. I'm getting way too focused, and I just want to try to give him, as he goes out, the credit he's due, and kind of explain fairly what I'm trying to say here. I'm not necessarily entirely trying to say I know he's a dishonest actor. I guess I wouldn't be particularly astounded or appalled, but I could also see Alex Jones being someone who's honor was manipulated, if that makes sense, and that's why he's ended up in some weird pickles along the way. But I don't know. It's always hard to say what's going on, particularly behind the scenes. But speaking of what's going on behind the scenes, I figured we'd take a little bit of a peek back at the stuff that the recent going-ons with the Trump assassination attempt. We played that one clip a few times, that grainy security video. I believe it was shared by Trump initially. And now we have a longer version of this and a much clearer one. So leaves a lot less to confusion. Spoiler alert, I was totally wrong. Although I had caveated like crazy. It's hard to tell. Everything's grainy. What are we looking at here? I think he was holding the gun when he was getting into his full-on Naruto run. So I guess he's just able to book it like that, I guess. So ups to him. But let's take a little time, dig through some of this security footage. We have about a minute and 44 seconds here that we are going to watch through. Sorry, I get that might be boring for audio people listening back, but I don't fast forward. But let's watch some of this. Make sure I got audio up. Yep. All right, let's do it. There's no audio, by the way. So, like, it's audio-less security cameras. So before anyone's like, hey, no audio, no audio. You look in the top left-hand corner. We'll focus back. We'll come back in this later. But you can see in the top left-hand corner, kind of off, way off in the way, you'll see something happening. Goes off in the side room. Looks like someone goes to look in there, comes back out. The dog even starts to go in. They're taking down one of the things right now. And then boom, then the guy comes out of that room and he starts running. And the gun is in hand. Like, so we get what we're about to see. I think it was so grainy we couldn't really even make out this. I don't even know if the original even showed this much, but we're about to see, this is right here. Boom. This is what we saw when we were seeing that grainy video. It was this little snapshot right here. And yeah, he's definitely holding the gun. Look, you can see, we'll stop frame. Well, let's put on real slow. Because I thought maybe he may even have like ditched the gun, because it really did feel like he got into like a really high speed there, which was kind of, for me, unbelievable what one would do with a gun in hand. That leads to speed, because he was almost like, looked like breakneck, like head over, anyways, come on, come down. Here we go, let's play it again. Now we play it real slow. Scoot it forward a little. All right, now you see him come out of the room. Boom, moving real slow. He's got the gun in hand. Gun in hand, just goes right through the metal detector. Gun still in hand, kind of brings it down. So there you go. Now we can see very clearly. You can see this blur where the gun clearly is. But it was so blurry you couldn't really make it out in the original one. And he was moving pretty fast. So, and then you see all the guys backing up, pulling guns. Boom, 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 boom. Now let's watch that again on 1x speed, because I want to get an idea of like compared to what we saw before so far as the speed, because it felt like the original one going around was like sped up. Meh. Okay. Yeah, it may have been a little bit sped up because I don't feel like it looked as fast that time around. All right, let's keep going. I don't think there's anything else really that meaningful in here because now it's off screen. You see a bunch of agents coming in. Oh, now they're doing a playback again. Okay. Cool. So that's that. That's the clearer version. So that kind of cleared up a lot. He clearly had a gun in hand. So definitely gun in hand, bolted for it. Really not sure what the plan was here because he's not even on the right floor and he's just darting. Or do you think you're just gonna like John Wick through everybody? But anyways, so that's still weird, but it makes a little more sense. There's a gun in hand. So. But yeah, all right. Let's back. Okay, now let's like I said, we're gonna hone in a little bit on the off in the corner. What's going on here? So let's look at this. Here's that angle, so you guys can see a little bit closer. This person, Tupacabra, points out the dog clocks the gunman right away. So this dog like literally seemingly alerts. Maybe I don't know. Because don't they have like gun dogs? Don't they? I don't know if that's what they use for these sorts of events. Because I mean. I highly doubt the purpose of the dog is to find drugs. That it seems like a weird thing to have in an event like this. I don't know if we have any police or security personnel in the chat. Let me know. I think that's a thing. Dogs that alert to guns. So I think that's what he's getting here. So it seems like the dog was interested and alerted or something. Follows the shooter into the room twice, and the guard just walks away. So. And then that's when the guy runs out. But this gives a little bit better look at what's going on. So I want to know more about what's going on in this room. So you see the guy right here. He's kind of holding his jacket out. And you kind of almost makes you think some of those body language or something could be something under that baggy jacket. So you see him go through here. And then this is where we see the dog. You can see the legs of the dog right here. He goes to the door, follows the person. So, I mean, like I said, I don't know. I think that's a thing where they alert to guns because they smell like the gunpowder or something. So that might be what's occurring here. And then the security guard's just an idiot or police officer or whatever. So then he pulls the guy back. So I want to know what's going on right here because that guy went into that room. There's a guy clearly there. So he pulls him out. The dog comes out. He said twice. So dog tries to go back in. So the dog signals again, I think. I mean, if there's any dog handlers that can clear that up, then boom. Then he, as soon as the guy walks away, he darts out. And that's when he comes running out. So he waits for that cop to turn away. So maybe it's one of these things where oh shit, I've been spotted. That would be maybe the way to best understand this if we aren't trying to go full on. This is some weird something or other. Because it did seem like a shitty game plan. We're going to fully whip out this gun and walk. I mean, I guess this is a security checkpoint, so maybe the idea was I can't get any further than here. I have to dart past here because I mean they are literally breaking down a metal detector. So so maybe he just knew he wasn't gonna be able to get past there. That is the all right. It's go time. That's the moment. That's the only maybe. I mean, even that's still a pretty shitty game plan. You'd think you just call it off at that point, but what do I know? Let's check out some more, evaluate more of this security footage. Here's one that has a little bit of a commentary that goes along with it. So let's check. This is from shared by Miss Jane Doe, who shares a lot of good stuff around. For those who are interested in parapolitical type stuff, at Miss Jane Doe, but she shared this from Gray Hughes, is who she's. The Gray Hughes Investigates. Which I think we've covered some of his stuff before. He still has a lot of good, these sort of security footage breakdowns. So here's another one. I think this is from a different, this is new surveillance video that was released that wasn't even, from different angles. So we can get different ideas of, so it looks like he went in this room. It's kind of weird to think that I mean, he literally darts out of that room like seconds after that security guard, leaves him. So it's kind of because they say that he supposedly like put the gun together there, which I guess you could do that real quick. It's not unbelievable. So I mean, I don't know specifically what type of gun. I think it's been mentioned before. I just don't recall. But all right, let's watch this video. Let's see what's going on here.
It's not swinging like it was before. So it's a little bit like Tyler Robinson with the stiff leg, He walked differently. Now he is walking differently in this video. Cole Allen, in that case it was Tyler Robinson, but you can see his right arm isn't swinging because he's controlling the shotgun that's below the jacket. He's keep making sure it doesn't fall. Now it might be on a strap or, through his pants somehow, but you can definitely see a bulge out the back of his jacket in various frames when you're watching it. Now I made this really cool video where I did a composite where I took both times he walks down, and look how different it is on the one with the jacket. His arm isn't swinging at all. So again, it just shows you, man, that person's exactly the same height, etc. It is him. I mean, we know it is because eventually he walks through into this area, and then in the background, that door, it's not swinging like.
Okay, so that's here's him walking in a different spot where it's very clear he's concealing a weapon. Now I don't know if we don't know if it's broken down, if it's what, but this is more of a slam dunk than the old Robinson thing was, because there was question to that, like what's going on here. Come on, it's pretty obvious. Let's play that one more time. If you look close, it's pretty obvious.
Stiff leg, he walked.
So let's see. Yeah, you can very clearly tell. It almost looks like, honestly, the whole gun was put together. Like, once again, I can't recall specifically which loadouts he had, which guns, but it kind of looks like almost a full gun just under that big ass jacket. And I'd be curious what this guy's height is. Let me see if I can find out. Cole Allen height. Because that matters too. Because if he's a short king, that becomes less believable. If he's tall, it's completely believable to me that he what? Okay, that's they never mind. Tried to look it up, but they found it was some kid actor. They told me he was 4'11". I'm pretty sure this guy isn't 4'11". That is a child actor. So whatever. Moving on. I figured we'd look into that, dispel some stuff from our last show. Honan looks like, I mean, we don't know much more other details. I mean, maybe more will come out later, but I mean, I could totally believe it's some sort of, op. I also could totally believe this is totally legit. Someone made a run for it. Didn't seem to have the most foolproof plan, that's for sure, but I can kind of wrap my head around sort of the reasoning, that like as we saw there, I think he was like a floor away from the main event. I'm assuming he was aware that he would have to go through some sort of security checkpoint. So that looked like literally probably the closest he could get to the event with his weaponry, unexposed, essentially. So I think he knew he was going to be revealed if he went through that, security checkpoint. And so to him, it was probably like, this is the moment. So if we're to think this is all organic, this isn't just some put on, something like that would make the most sense to me. But figured we'd take them, focus in on this era of conspiracy. And you may sound like we may seem loony. Like, why are you honing in all these details? Why can't you just take things for granted? Why, when the government says X, Y, and Z, you just don't go, okay, yes, sir. Well, I don't know, because I have this thing called critical thinking, and I've seen them lie a million times. So when the government says anything, I don't just take it. I do not take the trust me bros. Trust me bros do not go very far. And I don't think they should. I mean, we had the Silva versus Baker shit a while back, and that was kind of the crux of the issue there. Is I don't think you should take trust. And I kind of wish I had a point to maybe even focus in on this, because I felt like almost a little bit bad. I kind of insinuated that Baker could be some sort of fed or something. But to put all cards on the table, like. That's the thing. If we're talking trust me bros, then you do have to kind of, okay, if you want to go that realm, then let's talk about where that could be a problem. Like I've told you guys before, I was prior military. So like if you're super suspicious, you could be suspicious of me. You should be. You should be suspicious of anyone. You shouldn't just take trust me bros for me. I talk about lots of stuff. I try to bring receipts. Go check out the things I'm talking about. Verify it. You don't need to trust me. I've read scores of Oklahoma City bombings books. I've gone through 302s and stuff. You don't need to trust me. You can read those same books. You can look at those same 302s. Like, you don't need to trust me. That's the you do not need trust me bros. You don't need that. Like, this is why you shouldn't have to trust even the most reputable of sources, even the fucking federal government, especially the federal government. When they throw you a trust me bro, so this is why they're like, oh, haha, you're a Fed, so I'm not going to, you shouldn't trust me bro either way. You shouldn't just take trust me bros, but especially when it's from a fucking Fed. That's kind of the point. Or the federal government at large, or if this is like the establishment narrative that is being passed down. The idea that you should just conform to the group and just go, yup, no. I've paid attention enough. And I think that kind of ties into kind of where I'm bringing this now. Here's Richard Hanania. He says, remember the firefighter who died at Butler? Apparently his widow believes that Thomas Crooks was sent by Biden to kill her husband. He said, it's sad how Republicans and right-wing media have filled the minds of these simple people with conspiratorial trash, which... Okay, now I will admit, I don't put a whole lot of stock in Biden having anything to do with this. I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't put a whole lot of stock in it. So to give, but I think she's right to question what happened there. And holy shit, what an insane take from Richard and Nania. Here's Ken, if it brings it up. Damn, what the hell? I never mind. Give me a second. I'll find it. It did have it up there. Give me a second. Luckily, I retweeted it. Yeah, Ken says lady's husband gets murdered in front of her. Oh my God, sorry. I hope that the internet's not acting up on you guys then too. Is it? Give me a moment. Sorry. What the fuck is going on here? Sorry, my internet just started acting up all of a sudden. Anyways, lady's husband gets murdered right in front of her. Richard Nania. The sad part is that she believes in conspiracy theories. So, yeah. So I don't think that's the sad part. I think the sad part is that we still don't really know exactly what the fuck happened that day. And it didn't seem like there was too much of an effort to really get down to the bottom of it. Seemed to get squelched pretty quickly. And I feel like maybe it's a little relative. And so kind of once again coming back to this idea of like, oh, believing conspiracy theories, believing that this could be something else other than, what it's being framed as. Like, once again, I'm completely open. I am agnostic currently. I have not had convincing. I think it's ridiculous to be behaving as if it's certain this was some sort of op, or any of these are some sort of op as of right now. I guess it depends on what you mean by op. But I also think it's ridiculous to act like it's ridiculous to think it's an op. Like, it's like, why? For example, right here, I think this is a good example of like why would you ever behave like that? Apparently, the FBI was too scared to prosecute David Copperfield. The point I'm driving at here is the intelligence agency have a long and storied history of interacting with magicians, people whose whole goal is to create giant spectacles of illusion that, make you look, misdirection. You look over here when, looking at the left hand, meanwhile, the right hand is doing this other thing, left hand, right hand path type stuff. I mean, you get into the history of the CIA. I mean, go read Ron Johnson's The Men Who Stare at Goats, some of their OGs, where they got their, manuals on how to do stuff were fucking magicians. And one magician, who is David Copperfield, he gave show tickets to Epstein abuse victims, linking the two together. The FBI still didn't prosecute him and closed it because they were intimidated by the financial resources of Copperfield. So just saying the ties to magic and the fact that they won't even prosecute makes you wonder, like, how much of this world is magic? And if you've studied things like the RFK assassination, with the lady in the polka dot dress, fucking Sirhan, chilling in the cupboard, it makes you wonder what the fuck is going on. Are there magic tricks being played on us? What is magic? Is this just an illusion tricking people? Let's look through this. This Epstein file. It's EFTA 001728440 because Once again, to the point, you shouldn't trust me. You shouldn't just trust me, bro. You should look into these things as yourself, because you don't need to trust me. And when someone's telling you to trust me, you should make you kind of look side-eyed. Like, why do you want me to just trust you? The subject, Copperfield and Epstein, unclassified. This is in August of 2007. The Seattle FBI opened an investigation on David Copperfield in relationship to a rape of a young female. The investigation showed that Copperfield trained his employees to identify young females, teens to early 20s, in the audience of his shows. These females were separated from their boyfriends, families, and husbands and were brought backstage. Copperfield's employees were given access to a notebook that instructed them how to provide Copperfield with females. He kept a notebook with the females he was with, included in the notebook, that contained contact information, whether he had sex with them, and a photograph. I don't know if any of his victims were underage. They were allegations that he drugged some of the females. I recall Epstein's name coming up in our investigation a number of times, and Copperfield appeared to have a very close relationship with Epstein. His name was on a list we found that included other men, some of which had reputations like Copperfield and Epstein. Our case was eventually closed because our USAO was weak and intimidated by the financial resources of Copperfield. Admittedly, the victim had issues and the jurisdictional issues were challenging. Because of the nature of the investigation, I tried to get copies of as much as I could before the original evidence was returned. I don't know if the information would help your investigation, but I thought I should let you know that some of the information should still exist. So this sounds like some sort of internal FBI from one investigator to another is what it seems like. Maybe when some sort of like shifting of investigation was going on, maybe new personnel running it. Oh, here you go. Here's some stuff we looked into in the past. That's what it looks like to me. Now, we don't know for certain because the tos and froms are redacted here. We know it was sent on the 26th of November, 2019, though. So that's the extent we can gather. It's labeled unclassified for official use only in the subject matter. So that even more implies this is literally government agency emails being sent back and forth. And then with the classification at the top, too. So, yeah, in the body. There's one in the subject and there's one in the body of the email as well. And as the footer, too. So, even more so, that's pretty standard for government stuff. Even when you're sending unclassified information like this, that you have those sort of things in there. So, looks like some sort of back and forth between intelligence agents. So, and for those who were wondering, yes, he is Jewish. That's a Fight Back podcast. Jake Shields' podcast shared that. So yes, he is, which totally irrelevant. And then kind of in these questions too, with these this age of post-reality, and you're like, how would they do these sort? You're like, oh, would they be able to get away with this sort of magic in front of our eyes? Well, yes, they could. Here is the human operator from MIT Media Lab. This is a wearable that lets AI temporarily take control of your hand using electrical muscle stimulation. It says, watch it crush piano, draw perfectly, and mix cocktails like a pro. All from a simple voice command. I gave an AI a body. This isn't sci-fi. This is tomorrow. So I think if you can extrapolate out information, you can go, oh shit, this is if we have a whole intelligence agency where they like to employ magic in the world, this makes me a little bit concerned the sort of magic spells they may be able to pull off. So let's watch this.
I gave an AI a body.
Hello, AI. How does it feel to have a body?
It says human operator is a human augmentation tool that allows AI to briefly take control of your body to help you learn or do things you cannot do.
Maybe you could make me a cocktail. Of course. Hey,
It says, can you make me a cocktail? Of course. Sorry, the audio is shit, so I figured I'd let you know.
Can you make me a rum and coke? Right up.
All right, well, that's fucking creepy. Now, am I saying Cole Allen was wearing some sort of human operator bodysuit and that's what made him run? No. But what I'm saying is, these are sort of tools in their toolbox, and we should be concerned. More tools in their toolbox is, damn it, of course, give me 1 second. Of course, StreamYard is goofing off. But another one of these is tools in the toolbox is full-on psyops, misinformation campaigns. For example, like QAnon. That's exactly what I think QAnon is some sort of misinformation op. But with that, Ken Silva here has this post. He says, I debated whether to post this because it gets into schizo territory. But this QAnon video from June 2024 did say that white hats would stage a Trump assassination attempt, publishing for transparency's sake only. This account made many other wild forecasts that never came true. Now, with that, I'll just explain what I mean when I say this is, some sort of misinformation op. I wouldn't be surprised, like if we're, let's say, this event, you have these QAnon drops out there, this crazy stuff they're saying. They've predicted some things. I mean, I don't know enough about the ins and outs of QAnon, but from my understanding, there are some pretty solid things that have essentially been predicted by QAnon, where like to a degree where it's like, I mean, maybe you could pass it off as this is just like predictive type stuff, or you may be, interpreting it to, towards your biases, and this is why you think that. But there's been a few of them where, now I'm not saying that QAnon is working for the white hats or this is the good guys and you should believe QAnon. What I'm saying is, I wouldn't be surprised if there was this is some sort of, because the whole premise of QAnon is that there's white hats behind the scenes, there's black hats, and they're patriots are control, like they're working to fix things behind the scenes. And so that now with that, if there are people behind the scenes running something like this, they may actually have legit information to proffer, things. Let's say, for example, that let's say this was staged. This event right here was staged. It's not that crazy to think perhaps they could have, that they could have seeded this out to, QAnon that way, and however, when their Q drops or whatever. So then later you're like, oh my God. So you essentially create this buy-in, you create this belief of these white hats in this government. They're going to save the day. See, they even knew this was going on, and we got our white hats working to stop this stuff, but we knew it was going to happen because the Q drops told us. You see what I mean? Like, maybe that's a little bit crazy. Maybe I'm giving QAnon too much credit. I mean, most people like to just kind of scoff and just dismiss it offhand. But from the little bit I've dug in here and there, there's some smoke to the fire with some of the people who are like, holy shit, QAnon's saying some stuff. Now, I think a lot of people get caught up in that and they say, oh my God, QAnon's saying some stuff. And then from there they go, okay, so I'm on the QAnon train and I'm, we're looking for white hats. We're doing that. Whoa. Like that is a huge jump from one thing to the other. I'm very much on the, I don't know. I'm open to being complete and utter bullshit, but it looks like there was probably some sort of op of some sort occurring here. So, and once again, I don't know if we're about to watch this video. I haven't watched it yet. That's a show. This is an info dump. We process this stuff together. So I don't know specifically where they're going with, but I figured out. It would be interesting to look at QAnon. I mean, if we're talking post-reality Psyop Slop, I mean, what better thing to talk about than a QAnon? So here's this video, which, like I said, this is this guy who said they would stage an event. So I don't know. Let's see how on the nose this is. Oh, I'm going to have to read some of this to you. It says, Donald Trump assassination attempt incoming. This event is vital to exposing the military coup and the real deep state operations being controlled by Magic, majority intel community. So I guess that's what they're calling Magic. So majority. So that's where the Mag, Intel, I, community, C. The real D operators. Now this is, by the way, this is posted, just to reiterate, this was posted in June of 2024. So semi-recently, not too long ago.
Hello,
Truth Pups by Johnny Puggle. Okay, let's keep playing.
everyone. I'm Johnny Puggle, and this is behind the scenes of what's happening. We are coming into a powerful event. This is the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. It's important to understand that the deep state want to assassinate Donald Trump, but also the white hats have military operations in place to counter this and to stage their own event of Donald Trump. You will know the event of how it will unfold because Donald Trump will survive the assassination attempt. This is really important what's going to happen. This is going to expose a military intelligence community that is working together. A lot of people don't know that there is something that is called magic. This is the majority intelligence community. This is who's controlling the United States. These are the real operations behind the scenes from DARPA, the creation of the CIA, this community that is run by the Rockefellers, Rothschilds, and the biggest banking industries in the world. Like I said, it's called magic. So you have to remember this. Trump is going after this community, and that's why Trump didn't want the CIA to use their intelligence when he was president, because this is all going after the deep state. So this is who the deep state really is this majority intelligence community that is run by the elites, and this is who Trump is going after. At the same time, the biggest people who are going to go after this intelligence magic is also the people who are going to do the disclosure, the alien disclosure, and start bringing in a lot of information, a lot of stuff that is hidden, and they're going to expose all the underground military bases that's run by DARPA, dark operations, and these are all the illegal activities. You know, these are a lot of stuff where the taxpayer money is going daily, and this is going into the billions of dollars a month. The United States is funding this, all unconstitutional, and it's all illegal. So all of this is happening. So you got to be prepared that the Donald Trump assassination is coming, and it's all going to be staged, because you'll know this because Trump is going to survive, and then Trump is going to go after these intelligence agencies and who's running them, and it's going to connect all the way back to the Clintons, Rockefellers, and the usual people that we've been telling you about, who's creating all the world wars, creating the warmongering, you know, who's creating all of this chaos through the world. So these are important operations, and we're letting you know, as a lot of people have been letting you know beforehand. Q the Stormrider told you this was going to happen a long time ago, and then after that, Tucker Carlson, a lot of people keep on telling it, but we know the inside story of what's really going to happen. It's going to be staged. So you guys got to get ready for all of this that's going to happen. But we just wanted to drop this and let you guys know what's happening.
I do love how peak boomer the Q stuff is, though. Like look at this. Like, tell me, like, the adventure of Johnny Puggle presents Truth Pups. The two pups, Johnny and Pepper, news channel, news behind the scenes, wires, inside the storm. And then, I don't know, just the great awakening as it goes out. I don't know, just super boomer to a delightful degree. Now, I didn't even pick up on this when we first started the clip until we got like halfway through it, because we mentioned this was in June 2024. Well, the Butler shooting was in July, so this is a month before. I guess, to my point of they have made predictions that seem awfully a little bit much on the nose. Like, holy shit, how did you get that one? Which, I don't know, I guess there's enough noise out on the internet. If you're looking for predictions and then looking in the past, you'll always be able to find something predicts your thing. So, but this was a month prior, so a little bit more to that. Once again, I don't think, and I don't even necessarily think, I'm not even necessarily saying that, Pugsley or whatever the hell here is even himself part of it or whatever. But these things, these drops happen, and from there people, spin out. It was a whole creative op where, like, it's almost, and even then these drops were kind of written intentionally in like a cryptic way. So these whole communities came, centered around interpreting them. So then you have these, news channels like this that report on them, or not, I guess not report, but I know they try to interpret them and try to spread the word to the masses because the wave is coming or whatever, or the storm is coming. And so then you end up with stuff like that. So anyways, this kind of wild, but a month prior, they sort of called it. Obviously, I guess white hats are control, guys. So don't worry, guys. The white hats are control. We're all good. I have one more thing on the Cole Allen thing. I haven't watched this video yet, but one of you guys shared it with me. I do want to give you guys a casual reminder. You guys can help produce this show if you guys are on, particularly if you're on Twitter or if you're any other social media that I'm on too. I don't really use many of them aside from Twitter, and even then I try not to put too much time into Twitter. But if what you guys can do is, and many of you guys do, is just tag me in there. Just tag at Tower Gang Jose if you see something that you feel like would be of good use to share with the rest of the dumpers here to bring it to the show. And Black Eye shared this clip from This Authentic. It says, the hallway that Cole Allen goes into matters. It's not just a hallway. Let me show you. So, okay, it looks like she did a little bit digging into that room. I thought it was a room. I guess it sounds like she's saying it's a hallway. So let's dig a little bit deeper into that. I'm interested to see what she found.
Do you guys realize the hallway that Cole Allen walked into, hung out in for a couple seconds, took off his jacket, and then ran back out of past security, armed, and then eventually got tackled? You realize what hallway that is, right? It is not just a random storage hallway where they had catering trays, hanging out for the event. No. Not only that, this entire incident happened a floor above where the ballroom is, and that is important. But the floor it did occur on, the terrace floor of the Washington Hilton, also happens to be the floor that the red carpet was on. What I'm about to show you guys, I mean, if you didn't think this was already faking day, you're going to after this. Quick refresh for anyone that hasn't seen the new footage. Here it is. So he goes, into this hallway. There's a canine and a police officer that's right there. The dog clearly picks him up. And then he somehow just manages to, there he goes, right past security. Yeah. It's probably best that we work backwards. So this hallway, I'm sure, looks familiar to you, right? You have the 3 set of double doors, this little carpet area where he was eventually tackled and laying face down on. And then let's yonder that way where he came out of. So you have a kind of a glass door where there was a couple officers that were just hanging outside, and come up against this next double door. And that looks like, yep, that is the one that he came out of. Remember the officer with the canine unit? And let's just turn and have a peek. Oh, what's that? Oh, it's the main elevator hallway of the floor. Let's go straight, and I'm going to show you the foyer section, okay? The foyer, this is where the red carpet happened. This is where all the media was set up. This is where you might have seen this video floating around. So as you can see, they had that main elevator hallway like sectioned off, closed off with a curtain that kind of was open during that video being filmed. So how did you not see him? How did you not see him? Make it make sense, because it doesn't. Take it a step further, shall we? I'm going to show you another video. I think some CBS reporter filmed it. It's from inside the ballroom. He runs behind security out towards like the open hallway where they're going to get a medic bag for apparently whoever was shot or tackled or whatnot. And he stops and he kind of just pauses in this elevator section of the lowest level right outside the ballroom, and it's very dystopic, and it just creeps me out. It doesn't feel good. There's a lot of personnel in there. There's some photographers in there. Just take note, and let me show you what happens to be right above the elevator little hallway that they're chilling in on the terrace level, shall I? Well, look at that. Yep, directly above that dystopic elevator situation, scene, whatever, happens to be that main elevator hallway that Cole Allen walked into and then walked out of. They want us to know. They want us to know this is part of the cognitive warfare. They want us to know that this was staged. And they don't care that we know, because they're going to continue doing what they're going to do, and we're going to continue doing what we do, which is apparently make videos on a Friday afternoon. So TGIF, it's all fake and gay.
Well, we're making videos on a Monday morning, so regurgitating her Friday contents. That sure is interesting, huh? Don't know what to make of that. I might actually have to rewatch that video later just to reprocess it, because that's weird. All right, guys. I think that's going to be it for today. Let's roll through the chat, say our goodbyes. I have a fun outro for you guys today. I think you'll like it. A little bit more on the anti-Semitic side of things, I will admit, but it's all for good fun, all just good jokes. You guys will like it, though. You guys are just the crowd for that sort of stuff. Let's roll through the chat, though, one last time. Say our goodbyes, any other good mornings we may have missed, and then we'll get out of here, and I should see you tomorrow. If not in the morning, then in the afternoon, when me and Austin do our live weekly call-in show called Already Dead. It's on Tuesday, tomorrow at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. But let's roll through the chat. Tom says, if you are anti-Alex Jones, you're wrong. If you believe in Alex Jones, you're wrong. Exactly. You said it. You put it in a good way there. Yeah. If you're against him, you're wrong. But if you believe him, you're wrong as well. Yes. You definitely should not take anything he says at face value. So let's roll through the chat. So what else we got? Good morning, Qbert. Good morning. Good morning. Says, what's up, fags and fagettes? What's up to you? Saying Jay Dyer's away. I don't have any personal problem with Jay Dyer. I guess you do. I just thought it was funny. Here you go, Tom. It says, I hope the best for Alex. I think he's a good dude. He made some questionable decisions when his back's been against the wall. Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I was getting at. It's a good way to put it. He was right about the frogs during the frogs gay. I'll give him that. Yes, he sure was. Good morning, user. Good morning. Good morning. Alex Jones live said Trump's and Gates got us the good vaccine. Called it sugar water, folks. Jones is a deep state. Yeah, he's definitely said a lot of wild shit. And you're like, I don't know how to process this. But I don't know. I mean, you're at the same time though. You sell it as like patriotism. He may just that may be the way. The Sandy Hook lawyer stuff is pretty shady. Yeah, all the Sandy Hook stuff is pretty shady when it comes to that, especially when you think about the effect of it. Makes you wonder. An unwitting CIA asset, says Tom33. Yeah, that totally makes sense. What else we got? I don't think you've been here. Good morning, Northside. Says, if you were a cop in the chat, you have to tell us. Yes, if you're the cop in the chat, please chime up. Hubert says it's fake and gay. Explain to me how the fuck someone can make it to the White House lawn with a shotgun, much less into a building with a president. I dare you to try. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it looks pretty shady. So, but do I check out S2 Underground? I don't even know what that is. So, good morning, Melko. So there's a scope on it. Are we sure it was even a shotgun? That's a good question. Yeah, because I mean, that's not really. I don't think you really ever see those. I don't even really understand why someone would do that. So, Northside says Jose is like short gig. Must have had his reasons. Tall dude went crazy from thin air. Human body is not made to operate those altitudes. Something happened to my buddy Clint. Yeah. No, I was trying to figure out the height thing for the gun and how it would make sense carrying it. JMS says shotguns can have optics that look like scopes, and slugs can get as accurate as rifle rounds, but just can't go as far. But 300 yards is still 300 yards. Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, I guess you can put a scope on it, just so some people might. I mean, maybe if you're doing specific types of shooting or something. What else we got? What else we got in here? Good morning, Chris. Good morning. Good morning. This is What's Good, Jose, and hello to everyone. Hello to you. Good morning, Doofus Dog. Good morning. Good morning. See what else we got here. Aggressively agreeing. I think I already said good morning to you, but good morning if I missed you. Good morning, Phobes. Good morning, Mr. Woke saying, is that Sam Tripoli's dog? Yeah, he does have some sort of little dog, doesn't he? Clearly Jose's never played Call of Duty. Of course, you need an optic on a shotgun. Like, yeah, like I was more mean like practically. Like, I've definitely played video games where they've had them, but even then, even in video games, you don't usually have an optic on a shotgun. And I've had shotguns. I mean, I'm no gun nut, but like I've never really, I can't really even really think of a reason why I'd ever really want to put a sight on my shotgun. So maybe if I was thinking maybe if you were like into like skeet shooting or some sort of competitive type of shooting, but even then, most of those are like, I think the shotguns are typically going to be like fast reaction type stuff. So you're not going to want a sight like that. But I don't know. What do I know? Good morning, Real John Doe, and goodbye. Okay, I guess that's it, guys. We're all caught up. We said all our good mornings, all our goodbyes. I do have a fun outro for you guys. For those who want to support what I'm doing, though, leave a like, share, subscribe, comment, leave a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. You can find the show on YouTube, Rumble, all the major audio podcatchers, and Twitter as well. And if you want to support the show the best way you can do that with money over at patreon.com/NoWayJose2020. You got that QR code up there in the top left-hand corner if you'd prefer to use that right there. Boop. And I also give a big shout out to, at the low level of $2, if you want to support the show, you get a whole host of perks. You get Percocets 5s, Percocets 10s. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with you guys, seeing if you're paying attention. You get a whole sort of perks. You get access to early episodes. I try to do about 1 to 2 of those per week. Try to keep out 3 or 4 behind the paywall at any given time. And also give you guys access to ad-free RSS feed. Give you guys access to Telegram, to the pre-show, post-show, and video calls on me and Austin's weekly live call-in show, Already Dead, which goes out on Tuesdays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Also give a big shout out to the highest level of my Patreon. It's a big thank you for their support and my previous Ghost and Tower Gang at Leonard Toad, also at Brigade D's, at ZLVRCK, at _ Zeal, Tim Tell, at John Cleeble, big fan of the show, Torn May, at Wayne Takas, Winter Car for Kids No Free Lunch, Jack, Mark Vestibule, and Jacob Wintergrad of the Biblical Anarchy Podcast. And with that, guys, Phobe says, you missed my baby chat, leaving a 0-star review on your Yelp. Shake my head. I guess I did miss that. But with that, guys, we have a fun little outro for you that you guys think you guys will like. Do all the things, support the show, and enjoy the outro on your way out. We'll see you on the next one. Sorry, let me get this thing set up. Here we go. Enjoy the outro. It's a fun one. A little saucy.
Fights and riots.